I see that Manny Pacquiao looking for an opponent. Obviously, you do get that itch. You want to get back in that ring again.
I agree that this, regardless of the skill level, regardless of the time out of the ring, regardless of all of that, this would still be a very sought-after fight.
Who do you think would win it? If it's a real fight, because that's what Pacquiao wants, it seems.
Yeah, I think Mayweather will. I think Mayweather will take it, yeah.
Tensions erupt in the boxing world as Amir fires back at Manny Pacquiao over the Mayweather rematch buzz, reigniting old rivalries and sending shockwaves through the fight community. To begin with, Amir has reignited headlines with a sharp reaction aimed at Manny Pacquiao after new talk surfaced about a possible second showdown between Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. Khan's response carried a mix of frustration and challenge, hinting at long-standing tensions and unfinished business from their shared history in the boxing spotlight. He said, "Let's go, Manny Pacquiao. I'm up for one final dance, but only with you as my partner. You're still taking rematch with Floyd? Let's make our fight that never happened. This is the only one that gets me out of retirement. It's what the fans always wanted." Meanwhile, Wade Clemens shared his honest take on the growing trend of legacy matchups in boxing, acknowledging that even with ring rust or declining skill levels, certain names still attract massive attention. He admitted it's both fascinating and concerning that the sport often leans on its legendary past to create the biggest and most talked about moments today.
Regardless of the skill level, regardless of the time out of the ring, regardless of all of that, this would still be a very sought after fight. And I don't know if that's a good thing for boxing, that we continue to have to find, I don't want to call it a gimmick fight, but we continue to have to rely on the past, the greatness of the past versus the greatness of the present to provide big monumental events.
Continuing on that thought, Wade Clemens further reflected on the current state of boxing's spectacle matchups, pointing to examples like Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul and the Canelo and Crawford event. He admitted he's torn about these bouts, not entirely against them, but not overly thrilled either. Still, he recognizes their appeal, noting that even aging legends continue to draw attention despite their prime being long behind them.
I'm referring to Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, but to be fair, we did just have Canelo and Crawford on Netflix, so there's that. But I don't know. I really don't know how to feel about this. Like, am I upset about it? No. Is it the thing I'm most excited for in 2026 for the sport of boxing? No. Will I watch it? Yeah, I will, because this is a bit of a different thing than Mike Tyson, Jake Paul. Both these guys are old. Both these guys, I mean, I'm just saying it like it is, they are. Both these guys were at one point the highest level in the world, but when they fought, it was about 5 years too late then. That was 11 years ago, and we saw how the fight went then.
Building on that, Wade added that the only real difference in a potential rematch now might be the slower pace and veteran grit of both fighters, which could turn it into more of a slugfest. He questioned whether Mayweather's reflexes have truly faded, highlighting how Pacquiao recently held his own against active world champion Mario Barrios, a testament to Pacquiao's resilience and a reflection on the state of modern boxing.
The only thing I can think of is because they're a little older, a little slower, and they're still willing to get in there and do it, that maybe we would get more of a slugfest. I still don't know if Mayweather's reflexes have diminished that much. I mean, we saw Manny Pacquiao go toe-to-toe with a sitting world champion in the sport of boxing right now, Mario Barrios. That may be more an indictment on the sport than this fight would even be. The fact that 46-year-old Manny came out of retirement after 3 years and went toe-to-toe and arguably beat Mario Barrios.
On a similar note, Mike Coppinger emphasized that a Mayweather versus Pacquiao rematch would still be a monumental spectacle, even at this stage of their careers. He noted that both legends remain global draws and that platforms like Netflix would see massive value in such an event, especially considering Pacquiao's impressive performance against Mario Barrios reignited fan excitement for his return.
And obviously a rematch between Mayweather and Pacquiao, even at this stage, would classify as a big event for Netflix, and I think is a real possibility this is going to happen. Mayweather is now 46, I believe, and Pacquiao is around the same age. But look, this was the biggest fight in boxing history when it happened, and I think all these years later, a rematch, if it happens, especially after the way Pacquiao looked in July against Barrios, there would be serious interest.
Expanding the perspective, Max Kellerman reflected on the historical weight of the Mayweather versus Pacquiao rivalry, acknowledging it as the defining fight of its generation and the highest grossing bout ever, pulling in over 4.4 million pay-per-view buys. He noted how, in today's fragmented media landscape, platforms like Netflix aim to recreate those rare, massive shared moments, events that unite fans worldwide, much like that legendary showdown once did.
When people say the biggest fight in boxing history, if you don't adjust for inflation, etc., or tickets sold, etc., Joe Louis and Max Schmeling, the rematch, Ali and Frazier, the first fight, these were the biggest fights in boxing history. But Mayweather and Pacquiao was easily the biggest fight of its era, of the generation. And it was the highest grossing fight of all time.
By far.
Because it had 4.4 million pay-per-view buys at $100 a pop. Do the math, right? It's interesting because Netflix is obviously in the business of, you said, eventizing.
Yes.
Everyone, they want enormous events that become shared experiences. In a way, in this day and age, partly because of delivery systems of content like Netflix, everything is so niche. Everything is so compartmentalized that there's very few shared experiences.
In addition, Amir Khan opened about his feelings toward Manny Pacquiao's potential return, noting that he understands the urge to step back into the ring. Having spent his entire life in boxing, Khan admitted that retirement brings a temporary peace before the competitive itch returns. He related closely to Pacquiao's mindset, saying both share the same hunger after leaving the sport around the same time.
I see that Manny Pacquiao looking for an opponent. Obviously, you do get that itch. You want to get back in that ring again. I do miss the sport, don't get me wrong. I've been in it all my life, and literally, when you retire, for the first couple of years, you enjoy yourself, but then you do get a bit itchy. Hands, you want to get back in that ring again and throw a few punches. And I think Manny Pacquiao, in my opinion, is probably the same level where we were both retired around the same time.
Likewise, Oscar De La Hoya shared a measured take on the rumored Mayweather vs. Pacquiao rematch, calling it more of an entertainment spectacle than a true sporting contest. He admitted uncertainty about whether it would be an exhibition or a legitimate bout under full boxing rules, but concluded that if it's a real fight, it could still make for an enjoyable night for boxing fans.
The first fight was many years ago, right?
Yeah.
And it was an okay fight. Now they're gonna do it again, apparently. It's all entertainment. That's the way I see it. It's all entertainment. I mean, I don't know if it's gonna be an exhibition or a real fight with real rules, small boxing gloves. I don't know what they're gonna choose, but if they make it a real fight with the real rules, then it's an okay night for boxing.
Following that statement, Oscar De La Hoya gave his prediction for the potential Mayweather and Pacquiao rematch, confidently siding with Floyd Mayweather. He praised Mayweather's discipline, noting how he's maintained top physical and mental condition over the years, constantly staying active and sharp. In contrast, De La Hoya suggested Pacquiao's recent performances showed signs of slowing down, despite his impressive effort against a world champion in his latest outing.
Who do you think would win it? If it's a real fight, because that's what Pacquiao wants, it seems.
Yeah, I think Mayweather will. I think Mayweather will take it. Yeah, one thing about Mayweather you have to understand is he's always taking care of himself. Like his body, physically, mentally, he's always been very sharp and always staying in the gym and doing something physically, right? That's the big advantage he has. I mean, he's an athlete. He's a world-class athlete. Watching Pacquiao's last fight, you kind of feel bad. You kind of feel bad for him, and even though he did win and he did, I guess, pull off a surprise in his last fight with a draw against the world champion, but still, you tend to kind of feel bad because it's not the same Pacquiao.
As the dust settles around the legends and their long-awaited rematches, the spotlight now shifts to the new generation carrying boxing's future on their shoulders. From the nostalgia of Mayweather and Pacquiao to the fiery rivalry between Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, the torch is clearly being passed. These two young stars aren't just fighting for titles, they're battling for legacy, pride, and the right to define this era of boxing. Transitioning to the next chapter, Devin Haney revealed that the first fight he officially signed for was the Ryan Garcia rematch, planned to take place in Riyadh with a face-off scheduled after the New York event. However, Garcia's loss changed everything. Haney then moved to a deal with Teofimo Lopez, and negotiations were completed and terms were agreed upon, but Lopez ultimately backed out. leaving Haney without the fight that was already locked in on his end.
The first fight that was actually signed was the Ryan Garcia fight. You know, we signed
rematch.
for it. Yeah, the rematch. And
Is this before Times Square or after Times Square?
before Times Square?
Okay, yeah.
It was already signed. You know, we were going to face off.
In Riyadh, right? That was the plan.
Well, we were going to fight in Riyadh, but we were going to face off after the New York fight.
Got it.
Do the actual face off and promote the fight. And we already had the date. We already had the fight signed, and then he lost, obviously. So then the next fight that I signed for was the Teo fight. And then Teo negotiated. We negotiated. We agreed on. He had his terms that he agreed on. I had my terms that I agreed on. I don't know what his terms was. I don't know if he knew what my terms was. It wasn't my business what his terms was, because I got. They agreed to what I wanted.
Yeah.
So I didn't care what his was.
Furthermore, Devin Haney expressed strong confidence ahead of his upcoming UFC fight with Brian Norman, predicting that fans will be surprised by his performance. He believes their matchup deserves to be the main event, given the buzz surrounding it. Haney also praised his promoter for meeting all his requests and shared his excitement about the opportunity to become a 3-division world champion on November 22nd, aiming to reclaim his dominance and chase the prestigious Ring Magazine title.
What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
I think the world would be very surprised with, how I beat Brian Norman.
This should be the main event, if I'm being honest.
I agree. Even though, like I said,
It's a great fight, but I feel
Benavidez is my bro. Yard is my bro, but the fight that everybody's talking about is me and Norman. But I mean, that's not for me to really focus on. At the end of the day, Turkey, he everything I asked for, he gave me, and it is what it is. I'm happy to be, to be back fighting for, the title, to become champion again, and I look forward to it on November 22nd becoming the 3-division champion.
And the ring belt you said you wanted.
Yeah, I do want the ring belt.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Is
it on the line?
No, I don't think it's on the line.
From the trainer's side, Greg Hackett broke down his observations of Devin Haney's fighting style, noting that he carefully studies and compares movements to visualize how a matchup might play out. He cautioned that Haney could risk overtraining or entering the fight overly eager, which might lead to him expend too much energy early, a potential pitfall in high-pressure bouts.
I can see movement, and I can compare the movements. I can contrast the movements. Like, I can, in my mind, I can put them together, and I can see how they lock, especially in a fight. Norman gonna be ready, but it's gonna be that thing. Like I said, he might overtrain for the fight. Meaning he might be too excited. He blows his load early.
Continuing his thoughts, Greg Hackett emphasized that Devin Haney's experience at the elite level gives him a major advantage heading into the fight. He's already faced opponents with power, speed, and size, so nothing about this matchup will surprise him. However, Hackett predicted that Brian Norman will come out aggressively, making the early rounds intense, but as the fight settles into the middle rounds, Haney's composure and experience will begin to take control.
Devin Haney been on this level where I've been in there with a puncher, I've been in there with somebody fast, I've been in there with somebody tall and all of that. I've been here before. I've been here before. I mean, it's not gonna be that much of a shock to him. It's gonna be a big fight, but it's not a shock to him. It's gonna be a shock to Brian Norman, because Brian Norman, his whole thing is proving that I'm on this level. He's gonna fight. He's gonna give Dev a hell of a first 3 rounds. Them first 3 rounds gonna be hell. He's gonna fight, right? But when the fight settle, 4th, 5th, 6th round, 7th round, that's kind of getting into the water.
And finally, Regis Prograis gave his honest take on Devin Haney, acknowledging his technical skill and ability, but also suggesting that the Ryan Garcia fight may have left a lasting impact. He noted that regardless of the controversy surrounding that bout, Haney endured real damage, and it remains uncertain how he'll mentally and physically respond moving forward in his career.
He's a boxer. He's better than what people think he is, but the Ryan thing, it could have messed him up. I mean, no matter if Ryan was on something or not, he still he still took a beating. So you just never know how he's gonna react to that.
As the echoes of the old rivalries and new ambitions collide, one thing is crystal clear. Boxing's fire never fades. From Amir Khan reigniting unfinished business with Pacquiao, to the legends of Mayweather and De La Hoya weighing in on the sport's future, the past and present are clashing in spectacular fashion. The drama isn't just about who's stepping back into the ring, it's about pride, legacy, and the unshakable hunger that defines true fighters. Whether it's Khan calling out Pacquiao for one last dance, or Haney and Garcia carrying the new torch, the energy in boxing right now feels electric. And while fans debate who still has it and who's lost a step, one thing's undeniable. These stories, these rivalries, and these moments remind us why boxing remains the theater of greatness. Legends return, new stars rise, and through it all, the ring never forgets. And do you think Amir Khan truly deserves one last fight with Manny Pacquiao? Would a Mayweather vs. Pacquiao rematch still excite you? Or should the legends finally hang up the gloves for good? Between Haney, Garcia, and Teofimo Lopez, who do you believe will define this next era of boxing? And most importantly, who carries the legacy of greatness better, the legends of yesterday or the warriors of today? If you love boxing drama, bold opinions, and the stories behind the gloves, make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell, and drop your thoughts below. We've got exclusive breakdowns, hot takes, and behind-the-scenes insights coming your way every week. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and we'll see you ringside.